Now let's talk about a very hot topic in the Star Trek fandom right now, and that is the news of the next new series, Star Trek Academy. So first I'm going to get through the facts about the series that we know, and then I'm going to talk about reasons I think it could work, and then reasons I think it might fail. So what we know so far is that production on this series will begin in 2024. So that means we probably won't get to see the series in full until 2025. We might get a trailer in 2024, but the fact that it is kind of early in 2023 and they're saying that production isn't going to start till 2024, it probably means that they're only at the writer's room stage. I mean, they haven't filmed the pilot, that's for sure, and they don't have a cast or anything like that. They might have some feelers out there, and they probably just have, the showrunners, and they have a writer's room built. So here are a couple of things that Paramount released about the series. Star Trek Starfleet Academy will introduce us to a young group of cadets who come together to pursue a common dream of hope and optimism. Under the watchful and demanding eyes of their instructors, they will discover what it takes to become Starfleet officers as they navigate blossoming friendships, explosive rivalries, first loves, and a new enemy that threatens both the Academy and the Federation itself. So that's kind of just a basic synopsis of what the story will be. But this next line I thought was very interesting. It states, "Admission is now open to Starfleet Academy. Explore the galaxy. Captain your destiny." Honestly, the first time I read this, I thought this was a patch for Star Trek Online. I didn't even realize that this was a new series until I read some of the more stuff, and I was like, oh, this is actually a new series coming out for Star Trek. But anyway, it continues on. "For the first time in over a century, our campus will be reopened to admit individuals," and then yada, yada, yada. So the fact that the statement states that this series takes place over a century after Starfleet Academy has been closed, this is pretty much giving it away that this series is going to take place in the 32nd century, which is where Discovery is right now. I think it was over a year ago where we got rumors that this show was on the table, and at that time they were stating that it was going to be set in the 32nd century. So this is obviously the same idea that they've had since then. So now let's talk about reasons why I think it could work. For one, we could see the continuation of characters that were first introduced on Discovery that fans did like. Admiral Vance, I think, is one that we could see. Tilly is another character that will almost definitely be involved in this project. We dropped her off last season in Star Trek Discovery at Starfleet Academy. So the fact that now this series is greenlit would seem to state that she will be a part of the series. I was a fan of Tilly at first, and then I feel like when Adira came on the show, Adira kind of took her place as the awkward, ensign, and Tilly's character changed. I'm not sure I like her character changes as much as I did before, so maybe they'll sort her character out a little bit on this new series. I think that also last season on Discovery, it was stated that Kovich was a part of Starfleet Academy, and that could mean that David Cronenberg would be back as that character. I don't think he would be a main character. And if I had one character from Discovery that I would like to see continue on, because obviously that show has been canceled, I'd like to see Doug Jones come back as Saru. I really liked his character, especially when he first started. Again, the last season especially, I don't really understand his character, where it's going. I really liked when his character was first introduced. I thought that the Kelpians were a very interesting species, and I think that they continue to be interesting in the 32nd century. So I would like to see Saru, Doug Jones, come back for this series, and I think that a lot of fans would like to see that too. Another reason, and I think the biggest reason why this show got a green light, and I actually talked about it last week in my podcast when I was talking about the series Star Trek Legacy, and why I thought that series wouldn't succeed, is that I think that Star Trek Legacy, a show that is based on basically the characters on the Titan and would just continue on with the characters on Picard, I think that show would be too much like we've seen before on Star Trek. The reason that this show, Starfleet Academy, got greenlit is because it is like nothing else before that we've seen on Star Trek. So all those nice comments that I got last week about how I don't know anything about Star Trek, you guys can eat a self-sealing stem bolt, because this is exactly why Starfleet Academy got greenlit, is because it is so much different than anything else on the table, anything else that Star Trek is doing. It's probably not the only reason. I'm sure they have a plot or a spec script that they really like. That is a big reason why this show got greenlit, and it might be a reason why it's successful when it is eventually released. And then finally, one thing that we also learned this week was that Tawny Newsome will be a writer on Starfleet Academy. Tawny Newsome is, of course, the voice of Beckett Mariner on Lower Decks and will be playing her in live action this year. She is also a great ambassador for Star Trek. She seems like someone you could talk to about Star Trek for hours and hours. She's also extremely funny. She's a comedian. She does straight humor good, as well as, the kind of outlandish humor that we see her do on Star Trek. So she's really funny. She really gets Star Trek. So the fact that she's a part of this show is a good thing. And every Star Trek fan should recognize that Tawny Newsome being a part of Starfleet Academy is a good thing and is a reason why this show could be a success. She's already paying dividends. A fan asked her on Twitter if this series would be live action or if it would be animated, and she answered the fan and said that Starfleet Academy will be live action. So that actually wasn't a part of the initial release from Paramount that Tawny Newsome was able to fill us in on. So very cool. I like that Tawny Newsome is a part of this, and you should too. So now let's talk about reasons why I think that it might not work. And the first reason I'm going to bring up is the one you think I'm going to bring up, which is the showrunner. So the showrunner, or the creators of this series, are listed as Alex Kurtzman and someone named Noga Landau. Noga Landau is someone who doesn't have a lot of credits. I could only find about 4 years worth of credits for her. She is most well known for creating the series Nancy Drew, based, of course, on the popular character from the books, on the channel The CW. Now, of course, the CW carries with it its own stigma, but I will say this. Compared to, even the worst streaming network, the CW is a dumpster fire. They are completely revamping their network. Like 95% of the series are being changed. I think they're about to cancel a series called Superman and Lois, which is actually really good. So the fact that the CW canceled Nancy Drew is not completely indicative that it was a bad show. I think it got 4 seasons, and its final season will be in 2023. She also got a spin-off from Nancy Drew that only lasted 1 season, and both shows, I would say, have mixed to negative reviews. They have a Rotten Tomato score that lands in the 50s, so not great. So I think that with, the context that this is going to be with someone who only really has experience that fans can see in these like teen kind of shows, and this is going to be a teen show, it doesn't sit well with a lot of Star Trek fans, because that's not what a lot of Star Trek fans want to see. I think that with this next generation thing they have going in the season 3 of Picard, I think that's about as young as Star Trek fans want to go. I don't know that they want to see Star Trek 90210, and that's, I think, what a lot of people are worried about, that we're going to see, personal relationships between the characters. And, again, I don't know how this sits with Star Trek fans, that the person that's running this show has this kind of background. So the question I have to ask is, will fans that are watching Star Trek right now, the shows that are being released right now, be interested in this series? Or is Starfleet Academy a show that is just being made to attract a new audience? That is definitely how I think Prodigy came about. I don't think that Prodigy was made with the current fan base in mind. I think that bringing Janeway back maybe was almost a way to pacify Star Trek fans, because without Janeway, there's no way Prodigy gets made. So, taking that into account, I don't know if this show, like Prodigy, is going to be made to attract a new audience, or if it's going to be made to continue my love as an old school Star Trek fan of, this franchise. And I think it's kind of silly almost that they believe that they have to create shows like this for kids, because you know what? You didn't have to do it the first time around. I was, a preteen when I got into Star Trek The Next Generation and the films, and those were not written with kids in mind. I didn't watch The Next Generation because of Wesley Crusher. I watched because of Data, because I related to Data, because I was a kid that, had some emotional problems, and I didn't feel that I got along with people the way I wanted to. So Data always wanting to relate to people around him and always wanting to be a human being, to a certain extent, I could relate to that. And that's what attracted me to The Next Generation. It wasn't Wesley Crusher, playing games on a headset and going out with Ashley Judd. I know that kids now are different than they were when I was a kid. Believe me, I'm a parent, so I know I have a front row seat for that. But I just don't think that you need a kids show to attract kids all the time. And then another thing I don't really understand as to why the show is greenlit is you have the show Discovery and you have the show Picard. They're both going off the air. Picard has always been more popular than Discovery. It gets better reviews and it gets better ratings. Why would you continue with the storyline and characters from the lesser product? Like, why would you continue in the 32nd century and include characters from Discovery and not have something on the table for the characters from Picard when Picard is the more popular series? I just don't know why they would go to that and say, you know, we have the 32nd century, we're going to repackage that somewhat and put it back out there when it isn't as well received as Picard and you're not really greenlighting anything for that. As of yet, you know, maybe I'm wrong and maybe in a few months we'll find out that Star Trek Legacy or something like that it has been greenlit. But it struck me as odd to announce that you're canceling a show and then basically announcing a spin-off in the same year. I don't know, that just is kind of a head scratcher for me. But I am going to say I'm keeping an open mind. I'm not going to be one of these haters that just is going to rag on everything about Starfleet Academy until it comes out. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch the trailers. I'm going to, you know, keep an open mind. If it looks like it's going to be bad, I'm going to tell you, I think it looks bad. If it looks like it's going to be good, I'm going to tell you, I think it looks like it's going to be good. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about this Starfleet Academy series? Let's try and keep it nice. I usually don't delete comments, but I will if they start to get too crazy. So if you want to be heard, just let's be respectful. You know, people care about these shows, not just the people that watch them, but the people that are creating them. You know, they could be watching this video and, you know, you don't want them to see a bad comment about something that they really care about. I sure wouldn't want to put something out like that. So, you know, even though I'm not super psyched about Starfleet Academy, I'm going to look at it with an open mind. I suggest that you also keep an open mind, but let me know right now what your thoughts are on a Starfleet Academy series. Hey everyone, Eric here. Thanks for joining me and I hope that you enjoyed this video. This was taken from my weekly podcast, WDIM News, which you can catch each Monday on this channel. If you would like to check out the full podcast, you can do so by clicking on this video here. Make sure that you not only hit the like button to help support me, but also hit the subscribe button so that you know when my new videos come out. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?